Hey guys, it's Chris. It's time for another bow review, and I'm excited to do this one. This is the new 2017 Obsession Turmoil. It's Obsession's first hybrid cam bow that they produced. They've been making two-track binary cam bows for a while now, and they have ventured out into the land of hybrid cams, and that is kind of one of my specialties to tune and to shoot. I've been shooting hybrid cam bows for a long time, and so I was excited to get this new Turmoil. And I've had it a few weeks now. I haven't had a lot of time with it because I did go on a hunt and I was gone, and I haven't really even set this bow up 100%, but I have done a few things with it, and I'm going to do another tuning video for this bow later because that'll probably be a fairly long video to do, because this being a hybrid cam bow and it's also a hybrid limb stop cam, there's a lot of steps to take to do the setup, and I probably couldn't do it in a short video. I'm going to try to keep this one under 10 minutes because it takes forever to load. So I'm just going to go over a few things about this bow. Hopefully I get a lot of it right because, again, this is a new bow. I'm assuming it's hit the stores already. I know Dennis sent me this early just to let me tinker with it, so thank you, Dennis. I appreciate that. So let's get started and kind of go over some things that I've found on this bow, and I guess some new things, because the most exciting thing about this bow, from what I've been told, and I hope this is correct, is this bow is going to retail for $699. And as you guys probably know, there's not a lot of bows in that segment, in that, you know, $600 to $700 range. Everything's either in the entry level, which is probably $300–400 range, and then the high level, which is probably $900 to $1,000, and then on up to the carbon bows, which are $1,400–1,500. So for $699, I think this is probably going to be the best-selling bow of the year. I don't know how it can be for the performance that it gives and the money. I mean, it's a great hunting bow. So that's the best part. Let's get that out of the way. So let's talk about this bow and some of the specs and that type of thing. This is a hybrid cam bow, and what that basically means is the top cam and the bottom cam are not mirror images of it. They're not. It doesn't have just two cables like on the two-track bow. Basically, what it has is, starting from this side, this is a control cable, and I'm going to go over what these do. This is considered the bus cable, as I call it. Some people call it the Y cable, but it's the bus cable or Y cable, and then the string. And those are the three components of a hybrid cam, and they're all different pieces, and I'm going to kind of briefly explain what they do without going into a gazillion details about it. But so this is, like I said, a new bow, and one thing that this bow has that a lot of other hybrid cams on the market don't have is it has a limb stop, and hopefully you can see that. Let me get back here and see. Right here, this is a limb stop, very similar to some of the other Obsession bows, and that's important because that controls the cam sync on this bow. Most hybrid cam bows are what's called a terminal cable stop, and that means the cam rotates. Normally it's on the module side. The cam rotates, and once it hits a certain point, it hits one of these cables. The top cam hits the control cable. The top cam hits the control cable. The bottom cam, when it rotates, hits the bus cable, on other terminal cable stop hybrids. So this bow is a little different, and it doesn't act that way. It has independent limb stops, which is pretty cool. So let's go over just some basic parts of this bow. I'm going to start with the riser. You guys can see this riser. It's a little different than some of the other Obsession risers. This is the M7 from last year, and you can see the riser difference. I actually really like this riser better. I'm sure that there's some engineering differences why some of these beefy risers take out vibrations, but I actually like this really thin riser. It looks kind of like a riser is on a Nightmare. It doesn't weigh a lot. The M7, I haven't weighed them, but it feels a little heavier than this bow. I'm really digging this kind of thin riser. It has a little bit different limb dampener. This is the old limb saver damper, which works great. It doesn't weigh a ton, which I'm a big fan of, and it does its job. So the limbs parallel, like most bows these days. And then let's get to the cam. Oh, let's go to the cable slide. That's new for this year too. Last year's bows had rollers. There were some few issues. This year's bow's got a new Teflon slider that flexes a little bit. That really helps with cam lean when this can flex in and take some of the load off of these cables. So that's cool. I'm gonna check the time here. 5 minutes, we're good. All right, so let's kind of go over some of the cables and the strings and what they do on a hybrid cam bow. It's just kind of an overview. This could be really long, but on a hybrid cam bow, what it is sometimes you hear it referred to as a cam and a half, and it's really a modified one cam bow that Matthews made famous. Other than a one cam that was one string and then one long string and then a cable. On a hybrid cam and a half, basically this bottom cam is referred to as the power cam, and this bottom cam does all the work in this system. This bottom cam controls the draw weight, the draw length, and there's certain ways to set that. But this master cam here, the power cam on a hybrid, does all of the work. And some people say, well, what does the top cam do? The top cam controls vertical knock travel and the cam sync. And that was always an issue with one cam bows, that the knock travel was like this, because you had a wheel up here and a cam down here, so a lot of times you had vertical knock travel problems. And that's the beauty of a hybrid cam bow. You can control that vertical knock travel with this top cam, and that's this control cable here. And the control cable is slave to the bottom cam, so whenever you make an adjustment to this control cable, and again we'll go over that in a tuning video, then it brings the vertical knock travel up and down without having to make adjustments to the bottom cam. The bottom cam can make adjustments to the vertical knock travel. If you do make adjustments here, it will affect the vertical up and down, but you really don't need to. It's unnecessary to do it that way. Pretty much what I prefer to do on a hybrid is to get the draw length and the poundage correct with the bottom cam and this Y cable, the bus cable, and then all of the other tuning I do with the control cable, and then these yokes most of the time, which control left and right. And if you've read about two-track bows, you probably know, whether it's an Elite or an Obsession, it's important a lot of times to get these shim spacers right. Let's see if you can see these here, because this bow also has shim spacers. And that's these little black washers in between the cams and the limbs, and that moves the cams this way. So on a two-track, a lot of times when you want to do tuning, you have to shim the bow, which is very easy to do. And all that does is move the cams side to side, controls the string side to side, which controls the knock side to side. So one of the cool things about a hybrid is you have these yokes up top. So if you have issues, basically you can do tuning with these two yokes, and all that does is lean this cam side to side with this on the axle. It basically pulls the axle up or down. So if you have a little bit of a left hair, you can shift the cam this way and it'll bring it back to the right, and vice versa, which is really nice because you don't have to go in and out of the press a lot with the shims, and you can maybe just twist one time here with the yokes and you can correct your problem a little easier, in my opinion. So that is probably, in my opinion, one of the biggest features of a hybrid cam, is to be able to do some yoke tuning. When I got this bow, I did shim the bottom cam to where it shot best for me, and that'll be unnecessary for probably, I'd say, 90% of all shooters. But the cool thing about these bows still is that you can shim this bottom cam so that you don't have a lot of cam lean on this top cam, because you could just do it with one, but I try to find a happy medium, just like the two tracks that I made the videos last year, and I shimmed this bottom cam a little bit, and I didn't have to put as much lean in this top. So again, that's just another tuning thing, and I like doing it that way, and I have the time and the tools, so it's pretty easy. The speed of this bow is rated at 350 feet per second IBO, and I believe it would probably get right at that if I had a 5 grain per inch arrow, and I don't. I really just tested it with my hunting shafts, which are 430 grains, and it IBO'd at about 345. So most bows are a little more efficient with a light arrow. I really think this bow would have no problem hitting IBO at a 70-pound, 30-inch draw length. My draw length is 28.75, and I can tell at that the cam is still not rotated ideally, just probably like it would be at 30 inches. So I think at 30 inches and 70 pounds, the bow is going to hit IBO all day. I know a lot of people complain about that with certain brands, and this bow is going to be a screamer. And one thing that I did is because I try to keep my bows all shooting the same speed, I just turned the weight down on this bow, and it just made it that much more of a pleasure to shoot. I turned it down to about 64 pounds, and it shot at the same speed as some of my Hoyts on 69 pounds, which I was like, man, that's sweet right there, just to knock 5 pounds off. So this bow's going to be fast, and I'm going to go over the draw cycle and in the video just so you guys can see, because this bow doesn't have a harsh cycle, but it does carry the weight a longer time through the draw cycle than some other bows. But it falls off into the valley very nice, and it's got a ton of let off. It's not jumpy like some speed cams. Like when you're at full draw, it doesn't want to rip your arm forward if you're not pulling through the shot. This bow falls in. It's got a little bit of a dump that I would call, but muscle memory would take care of that with a couple hundred shots, and you wouldn't even notice it. And so it just sits there. And for a bow this fast, it's got a ton of let off, which is awesome. But again, I'm going to go through the draw cycle just so everybody can kind of experience what I'm feeling compared to what I'm used to, because it is a little harsher than the 2-track bows, but the speed's got to come from somewhere, so it is all a trade-off. So let's shoot this bow. Time's getting kind of long. Again, I'm going to do a video probably on the tuning and setup of this bow later. This was more of an overview for you guys that didn't know they were even coming out with this. I was super excited about it. So let's take a shot or two. And the bow balances very well. You'll see in the shot it actually kicks back just a hair. It's not like some bows that are top heavy, but it draws very smooth at the beginning, and then right about here before cam rolls over, it stacks a little, and then it just falls in very, very nicely. And you can see this bow is not jumpy. I can bring it out here. You can hold it a long time. It has a super, super nice valley. Bow's very quiet. I'd say it's on par with all of the binaries that I've shot. I mean, it is a super, super quiet bow. Let's do one more. I'm going to go through it again. Pretty even at the front, and then it stacks right about there, falls right over. You can see no stabilizers or anything. The bow just barely kicked back just a touch. So that's nothing at all. This bow with very little stabilizer weight is going to be sweet. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little overview of the Turmoil. If you have any questions or setup, give me a holler. I encourage everyone to go check this bow out for the money. Some of you guys may be dumping some of your high-end bows or more expensive bows. I shouldn't call this bow a non-high-end, because it is. It's got all the nice components, but go check this bow out. You might be able to buy 2 bows. So cool. Thank you.